crazy story. So we've started a campaign at firemaya.com. That's MYIA.com. And as you know, Rebel News has been covering the other side of the story when it comes to the radical trans and drag queen agenda against children. But a lot of the people who defend that say, well, what do you care about drag queen story times? Those parents are choosing to bring their babies and kids there. Well, look what happened here at Castlegar Primary School, an elementary school in British Columbia. This teacher here, Maya Malakoff, to retaliate against the cancellation of a drag queen story time in a library. I did a report on that. There was some community pushback. After it got canceled, she said, well, you know what? The next day after the library announced it, I'm just going to show the kids in my kindergarten and grade 1 class a drag queen story time and take that. She actually took a picture of the kids watching it. This is all, by the way, without parental consent.
Unbelievable.
And put it on her Instagram to gloat that she did it with the hashtag sorry, not sorry. Are we going to play a clip of it? Or I think there's a clip of the drag queen. I don't know, but it's outrageous. It's firemaya.com. This is another tax paid for institution being used by radical activists to push their agenda. She used those children to do so. It's completely wrong, completely unprofessional. She should be fired, and my blood is boiling over this.
Okay, go ahead.
Reality, his name is Harris Kornstein. Watch some of his storytime video here as he reads a same-sex marriage book called Worm Loves Worm, which promotes cross-dressing to children.
I'm Little Miss Hot Mess from Drag Queen Story Hour, and I'm so excited to share a book with you today. Worm Loves Worm. Worm Loves Worm. Let's be married, said Worm to Worm. Yes, answers Worm. Let's be married. Just make sure you have a band so we can dance, says Beetle. But we don't have feet to dance with, says Worm. We can just wiggle around, says Worm. Like this. Can I see your best wiggle? Excellent. Fun, says Worm. Now can we be married? But which one of you is the bride? Asked the bees. How can we be brides, bees, if we don't know who the bride is? I can be the bride, says Worm. I can too, says Worm. Have any of you ever been to a wedding with 2 brides? Pretty special, huh? But one of you has got to be the groom, or how can I be best beetle? Asked the beetle. I can be the groom, says Worm. I can too, says Worm. We can be both. Have any of you been to a wedding with 2 grooms? Also pretty cool. Wait, says Cricket. That isn't how it's always been done. Well, then we'll just have to change how it's done, says Worm. Yes, says Worm. How many of you have ever wanted to change something? Maybe you don't want homework. Maybe you want to change your bedtime. Maybe you wish someone acted a little differently, or you wish people recycled more. Sometimes it can be pretty important to stand up for yourself and make a little bit of change. And so they were married because Worm loves Worm. The end.
It's no wonder then that one of the parents informed me that after the teacher exposed the children to the drag queen story time, their child came home questioning whether or not they should be dressing in clothing like the opposite sex. And tell me what you think.
Good. You can watch the full thing at firemaya.com. It's outrageous. I even show you a little bit more about who the drag queen is and some of the performances he's done for adult entertainment, which is fine. but why do you want to entertain children in the same persona when you're teasing in that persona at nighttime?
Drea, how's this for a rhyming couplet? A worm making me squirm. I mean, the person that whole story, first of all, is boring. And here we go again. This is what I was just going to get to. You see this little dancing and shaking her booty and her fake prosthetic breasts. Reminds me of Busty Lemieux, and I have some news on that grifter. What's the deal there? Because, you know, when I was in kindergarten, I remember, I don't know, story time was the Cat in the Hat. We were playing with Lego. You know, I guess the next extension of this diversity training, I call it perversity is diversity, according to so many school boards. They'll probably be passing around a dildo to the kids, describing it as a gender-affirming article. That's the new word for that kind of a sex toy. Drea, please tell me that the majority of parents who had their children exposed to this are outraged.
Yes, the ones that I spoke to anyways are outraged. Most of them learned from the Instagram post and other parents going, did you see this? So, but you know, they're outraged in a sense that they're not most of the ones I've talked to, they're not necessarily aware of this agenda, of how prevalent it is. So they're kind of like, you know, maybe I would have had my kid go to this, but I feel very violated that I wasn't a part of this, that I had no choice, that I was blindsided with what happened, and that the teacher, you know, put my children online. So it's really interesting. It reminds me of the COVID agenda. It's, you know, people are packaged something, you do this, this is your part, and they think they're part of that team. But as things get more radical and more progressive, it starts meeting the middle ground people and they go, okay, wait a minute, something is wrong here. And yeah.
You know, it's an ongoing virus, by the way, because I should just throw in here a very quick update about what happened at the Halton District School Board last night. As you know, Drea, we exposed Busty Lemieux for being a phony baloney fraud. He told back in February, the New York Post, that his props, those Z-cup breasts, well, they're not props. Those are real mammary glands. He started to develop at the age of 39. It's a very rare medical condition, folks, you understand. And also in terms of a dress code, in terms of those eraser-sized protruding nipples, piercing those sheer blouses he wears, he can't find a proper bra that fits. And besides, he finds it more comfortable to go braless. I know, folks, it's insanity to the power of infinity. So Lincoln J and I, on the eve of Good Friday, no less, we found Busty Lemieux at the Mapleview Mall. Not so busty, because either he had those Z cups amputated, or more likely, he was lying through his teeth. Those are not real mammary glands. Of course they're not. So what did the Halton District School Board do last night? I couldn't attend, folks. As you know, I'm banned for life because they don't like insensitive questions. The truth. Yeah. And by the way,
trying to protect students.
This is us catching Lemieux red-handed outside of Mapleview Mall. And so red-handed, by the way, Drea, that's an Uber ride. He abandoned his car in the parking lot once he saw Lincoln J and I. So
David is running here. He's running saying, where are your breasts?
That's right. In 40 years of journalism, I never thought I would ask that question, where are your breasts? So we gave the Halton District School Board a gift with a bow tie on it, Drea. Namely, we have shown you on video that this is a lying liar, that this is a grifter. And as far as I'm concerned, even in a unionized environment, if you are lying to your employer, that is grounds for dismissal with cause. Nope. Because Drea, here's the deal. It's the status quo. We are still going to continue to pay Lemieux a full salary and benefits to stay at home and do nothing. And as for a dress code, we're going to throw that back to some committee to study. They've been studying this since September. And again, Canada's top labor lawyers have said repeatedly, Drea, even in a heavily unionized environment, management has the right to enforce a dress code. These people at the Halton District School Board are cowards. They hate the parents. They hate the kids. They are Marxists just trying to climb up a political ladder. I'm sure most of these cats are going to run for municipal, provincial, and federal office in the days and years ahead. And, and get this, Drea, holy double dipping, Batman, a source of mine has informed me that since Bussy Lemieux has nothing to do all day, he's trying to get a job as a waitress at a Burlington restaurant.
Hooters? At Hooters.
Well, you know what? I was just going to say how my heart breaks for the biological woman at Hooters. I've never seen a Zed in my life. I mean, he's going to put Hooters out of business. So, and by the way, the only reason I could think of a restaurateur hiring this guy, it'd be like, bringing back the freak show. People would go to have a meal just to see this disgrace on display. But whether it's him in the Halton District, Drea, or this hideous drag queen kindergarten performance, I'm just wondering right now, is the pendulum going to swing back? I mean, it's almost as though...
I think so. I think
so. I hope so. Because it's like the educrats are trolling us right now.
Because the bottom line is the vast majority of people are not bigots and they're not intolerant of people with different sexual orientations. We don't care. It's whatever. We'll treat you the way we want to be treated. But it's inappropriate for me to dress that way in front of students. So what the heck is going on here? And I can't push my Christian religion on a kindergarten class because I don't like that the churches got burnt down. And so I'm going to do my form of activism. So this is why I think the pendulum is going to switch, because the silent majority is getting pissed off. And that's why they're not buying Bud Light beer anymore.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.